Hi guys, welcome back to Oil Tank Splits Tank Testing. I know you never heard I know you guys have never heard me talk before, but that's because my audio never worked. But now I finally got a better application for that, and now you guys can actually hear my narration of what's going on during the battle. So today I'm just going to do a basic tour of my garage and all my vehicles, just one by one, just show you what I've got. So, here we go. First of all, I got the classical T1, American Tier 1 prototype vehicle. In reality, it was used during World War I, just in prototype form. Never reached any mass production stage. Next, I got the M4A3E8, also known as the Shrieking. I have the premium camouflage on. This tank was an American, this is the EZ-8 Sherman, used from 1952 to 53 in North Korea. Pretty good vehicle, average in my opinion. Never was a big fan of the Sherman, but this is probably my favorite variant. Next, I've got the T-23E3, speedy, high rate of fire. It was a prototype in the late 1950s. I actually use this pretty often. It's a great vehicle for hit-and-run tactics. So, yeah, I recommend buying this as a premium vehicle. Up next, we have our T-14, American heavy tank prototype made during 1942. Never reached production stage. Slow, but good armor and decent rate of fire. And I don't use it very often, but it's a good addition to my collection. Next, I've got the M6A2E1, also known as the Goose. High profile, good armor, good firepower. Very unique vehicle. Only one prototype was built, just as the T-14 and the T-23E3. But again, a rather useful vehicle for my collection. Next, we got the T-34, not to be confused with the Russian one, as it looks nothing like it, as it has massive hull and it has a massive turret with a massive overhang on the back. Amazing firepower with a 120mm gun. But yeah, I recently got this, and I just use it it's just my good average American heavy tank for Tier 8. Next, got my T-15, which I actually just got today out of a crate. It is a speedy German prototype made by Skoda during the late 1930s. I tested this once. I landed one battle with this vehicle. Low damage for what people say the gun is, but I don't know. Not a bad vehicle. I use it pretty often. I will use it pretty often. But yeah, moving on. Next, I got the Leopard. This vehicle is highly debatable whether they actually built a prototype or not. There's a lot of Photoshop pictures I find online of this vehicle. As for I did research on many armored vehicles and APCs and whatnot, and artillery. So, Leopard, if it was a real vehicle and they actually put it into mass production, this would be very useful in my opinion. It's a very odd looking vehicle. It looks like a mini Panther chassis and just a little 30mm cannon on it, or a 50mm KWK-36. But anyway, moving on. Got the Panzer S-35. This was a Samuel S-35 that was captured from the French by the Germans, and they put into their own use. Some of these, they took the turret off and mounted a 105 howitzer on it. Moving on. Panzer IV-D. The only reason I kept this vehicle is because it's good. It's just a good average German vehicle. I use it very often. It's got good speed, good turning radius, good firepower, okay armor. So, classic Panzer IV. Moving on, T-25, the big brother of the T-15. This vehicle is also made by Skoda, 1941. Only prototype built, but a very interesting vehicle. I like the angled armor on it, and it's pretty good mobility, although its firepower is not as much as I would have expected. Moving on, Panther M10. Very debated vehicle. Every time I enter a training room and somebody's messing around with their vehicles, They always go, hey, that's an American tank. It says M10. I go, no, this is a German tank. It's a Panther disguised to look like an American M10. Used during the Battle of the Bulge. There are about 15 converted for special use. It kind of made it a little weaker with the conversion on the back. As you can see, it kind of reduced the armor. And the side turret armor actually looks pretty odd. But that's why it's very confused with the M10. But still, you have to be quite an experienced tanker to know that to think that this is an American tank. Moving on, my other Panther, its big brother, the Panther 8.8 centimeter classic 88 anti-aircraft gun mounted in a Panther 2 version turret on the original Panther chassis. Good premium vehicle, but not much else to say about this. Moving on, the Luva. Luva is my favorite German Tier 8. It's just a great vehicle. It's got massive firepower. In my opinion, excellent armor for side scraping, and good mobility for vehicle this size. Excellent ram damage as well. I use this all the time. Moving on, my only and pretty new Tier 10, the E100. I've got the 150 mounted on it. Note the coaxial 75 above it, which I find rather unique because most vehicles have a coaxial machine gun. Most everybody who plays Blitz knows about the E100, being that it's a massive vehicle, and that it was basically the envy of every Tier 10 battle I enter. And people often call it the E100, the Evil 100, for good reason. But moving on, we've got the Dicker Max, German prototype built on the Panzer IV chassis with a 105, soft skin, good firepower, good mobility. That's about all I have for that. Jag Tiger 88 centimeter, they call it the 8.8 centimeter, but I mounted the 105 on it. Excellent armor, excellent firepower, good rate of fire, like 6.8 seconds, I believe. Okay mobility, but very good for holding a flank, in my opinion, and for sniping. Moving on, BT-7, my all-time best tank, most battles I have out of any vehicle in this game. I've used this for a long time, but I don't know. Most people know about the BT-7 as a Tier 3. Fast, good firepower. Anyway, moving on, LTP. Got this from the Blitz birthday event. It's okay. It's not my favorite. I don't really like it, but it has the same gun as the BT-7. And, it's okay. Moving on, Churchill 3, Lend-Lease tank built by the British, sent to the Russians. Excellent firepower with the ZIS-16 on a Churchill turret and chassis. Most people know about the Churchill, slow, good armor, fast firing. Moving on, KV-2, first of the derps, unless you're counting the Electo, but that's a weak derp. But anyway, KV-2, classic, one of the most used vehicles in Blitz. I've always kept it. Anyway, IS-2 1945, my favorite IS, even more popular than the IS-7 for me, because I've used my friend's account with the IS-7, but it's not very useful in my opinion. It's just too weak of a gun for Tier 10. But anyway, IS-2, just a good all-around vehicle, similar to the IS, but a bit faster. Anyway, moving on. AT-1, no idea why I kept this Tier 2 tank destroyer from Russia, but T-26 chassis, a decent gun for Tier 2, but anyway, just your average vehicle. Su-76I, Ice Claw, I got this from an event. I'm not sure. I don't recall what it is called, but it's on a Panzer III chassis captured by the Russians, mounting a ZIS-14 75mm gun and just a custom-built Russian superstructure with the premium camouflage. Su-100Y. Most people say that this vehicle does not even exist in real life, although if you look up pictures of the Su-100Y at the Kubinka Tank Museum in Moscow, you will find that it is real. It is a massive, just high profile. It's just the box. That's all I can say about it. Massive 130mm naval gun mounted on it. Decent speed for a vehicle this size, but anyway, most people know about this as well. Moving on, SU-152, the next derp in the Russian line. Very popular with me. I almost always use HE in heat rounds. AP only at last resorts, but I mean, not a bad vehicle. Okay armor, excellent firepower, as you all know, because this is a big enemy while playing in Blitz. Moving on to its cousin, the 122S. Premium vehicle. I got it in a bundle with the IS-2 1945 way back when, December. But excellent vehicle in my opinion. I love it. ISU-152. It's kind of like the bigger brother of the SU. It is, but it's a bit weaker. It's not my favorite. I need to get a better engine in it, and I need to get the better gun as well. Moving on to the British vehicles. The AC-1 Sentinel. Just a little average tier 4, high rate of fire, okay armor, good mobility, equivalent to that of if a Sherman was a tier 4. Moving on. TOG 2. Everybody knows about the hot TOG, as they call it. Good gun, high rate of fire, tons of hit points. I believe it's 1,540 hit points, which is almost more than a Luva. But excellent vehicle for the British. Extremely slow, but its concept was to cross trenches, and I believe that it would have worked for that if World War II had trench warfare. Moving on, the AT-15A, another Preem. I do not have any researched British vehicles in my garage at this time, because I'm not a big fan of the British vehicles, so I just got 3 Preems. Anyway, AT-15A, good firepower, good armor, very, very slow, and easily circled by light tanks such as the LTTB. Moving on, my only Chinese tank, Type 64. Fastest tank in my game. 84 kilometers per hour I've reached, although most people say that that's a complete lie. But high rate of fire, very fast, as you all just heard from me. Excellent vehicle, well worth the money. Moving on, FCM36 Pack 40. I made a video about this called the French-German Crossbreed because the chassis of an FCM36 superstructure of a German design after they captured it. Similar to the Panzer S-35, same concept. But it's an okay vehicle, slow, thin armored, but good firepower for tier 3. Equivalent to the Martyr, too, in my opinion. Moving on, the Stridsvagn 74A2. Technically a Swedish vehicle, but they have it as just the the default Blitz vehicle because there's no Swedish tree yet. But has a magazine, has the oscillating turret, okay mobility, okay armor. Definitely a favorite in my opinion. I like it. It's very unique. Most people are like, "Wow, what's that thing?" Whenever you enter battle. So, very much so a good addition. But that's where I'm gonna end this. Thanks for bearing with me through this relatively long video compared to my other ones. And I guess we'll see ya later.